So, recently, well, this past January was extremely chaotic over here in America with politics and it's with the Capitol insurrection and the impeachment trial. It was just chaotic, and after Biden came, it was just like a nice peace. So I was like, you know what? Let's just take a break from the news. It's getting too much on my nerves right now. Let's just stay out. I like reading the news. I like watching the news. It's fun. It's especially with Trump. It was pretty funny, but it's funny in a bad way, but it's also really really funny. But so I was like, let's just step back, not look into news, do some work. I had work to do, so I was like, step back, not focus on the news that much. So because I read the news pretty regularly every morning, look through Apple News, and be like, okay, what's going on? So, but this Monday I was like, you know what? Let's check what's going on. It's been a while. I have no idea what's I have some idea what's going on with the impeachment trial, but I want some more information. I was reading about Marjorie Taylor Greene, the U.S. congressman. It's a whole other story. I don't really want to talk about it. It's annoying, but yeah. So I was just reading through it, and I saw what's going on in India. I'm like, huh? How have I not heard about this? What's going on? But then I checked Instagram, and what happened was everyone's posting about this, and I haven't checked Instagram in a while. It's kind of a side effect of being quarantined for a year, but I haven't checked Instagram in a while. So I was just checking out Instagram. Everyone's posting, putting it on their story, and this happened. It happened during BLM. It happened with what happened in what happened. I don't know. It happened with a lot of stuff. All these humanitarian crises, civil rights crises. So it was happening a lot. So people were posting it on their stories. People posted these things on their stories. So I started checking out Instagram again. I saw a bunch of people posting what's going on in India on their stories. I'm like, huh, okay. Well, it's apparently something really big, seeing that everyone's posting about it. So I started reading about what's going on, and then today during choir, my friend asked me, and he pays attention to the news more than me, which is saying a lot. But he's a Caucasian dude. He's lived here his whole life. He's not really Asian. He's pretty well connected as well. But he checks out the news a lot. He figured he likes doing it, and he asks me what's going on in India, dude. What? How? What is this? So I'm like, oh, okay. Which kind of surprised me, because typically India takes a pretty backstage in all these crises, especially with all the COVID-19 stuff that Biden is trying to get out quickly so we can get our vaccines out and all that. And I was like, I expected something to take this a backstage, especially during right now the U.S. politics is still a bit clumsy and chaotic with the impeachment trial, and it's just it's something is going on over here. But then I'm like, it usually takes a back, India would have taken a backstage, but I was really surprised that he asked me, because again, I thought the news in India would take a backstage. But then what surprised me, and we literally just went over a similar scenario in school 2 weeks back. We had a test on it recently. It was about the Gilded Age in America, which so the Gilded Age was defined by two things basically: laissez-faire capitalism and big business and its effect on society. So what Adam Smith in his Wealth of Nations, which promoted this idea of laissez-faire capitalism, said government shouldn't really get too involved in the data and the economy, and the economy will fix itself over time. And as a theory, it's really good. It theoretically should work. Does it work always? Not really. No. I mean, same thing with communism. Theoretically, A+ plan. Everyone is equal, 100%. But does it really work? No. It kind of just devolves. And the problems with both of these situations is corruption. I know. The bane of all human politics, corruption. And but that's kind of human nature, and I can't really talk too much about it. Greed is a human emotion. Sloth is a human emotion. It's just in human nature to want more, and it's not something we as like humanity can stop. We can limit it. We can't stop it. It's just human nature. We always want something better, and that can be good. We want to improve our livelihood. We want to improve something, but to an extreme level, it's really not a good thing. Corruption is bad. But what we learned about in school was that these businesses, such as Andrew Carnegie's steel business, Rockefeller's oil business, Standard Oil. Yeah, Rockefeller's had Standard Oil. Then J.P. Morgan had J.P. Morgan Chase and J.P. and Pierre Morgan. What's it called? But like, yeah, so they all these businesses, they formed a trust, and what happened because of this is that they each got massive monopolies on their each individual industries, and they started banding together. They started to do things together, like so all their interests aligned. So in the J.P. Morgan took care of the banking sector, Rockefeller took care of the oil business, and Andrew Carnegie took care of the steel business. And the government didn't really do anything to stop it. And the antitrust laws didn't come until back then. And this was the government policy. Don't get too involved in the business. Business will take care of itself. Everyone's going to be happy. Was everyone happy? Not really. The farmers got affected and workers got affected. And although these business and industrialists did care about these people, they did massive philanthropic efforts. They did, like Andrew Carnegie. He donated almost all of his money to charity and philanthropic efforts. Carnegie Hall, Carnegie Mellon University, all of his creations. Really, really good. But what happened was, during their time as top industrialists in America, they made it really, really hard on farmers, especially. So America was just starting to get. Well, America was they had slavery, but then slavery got abolished. Thankfully, hopefully that was a great job, Abraham Lincoln. Great job. You did really good work. But no, that's a whole other issue. Slavery is a whole other issue, and we're not going to talk about it right now, and I don't need to talk about it. So yeah, America abolished slavery. So it was the agriculture was getting back on its feet, and new developments were coming in from I don't know, I forgot the specific names, but like new technological developments that made it easier to farm. But what happened was that to use these innovations, you had to have oil. Guess who provided oil? Standard Oil. And guess who was the only buyer? Standard Oil. Seller, Standard Oil. You needed some steel to make it. Oh, guess who had steel? Andrew Carnegie. So, yeah, that's problematic. So basically, all these big businesses were able to control the production and distribution of these technological innovations, which farmers had to buy to stay in business and stay competitive. You want to stay competitive. You don't want to do farming for subsistence farming. But then what happened was some other companies also came in. They became the only buyers. Now, if you have only one buyer, what do you think is going to happen? That buyer can set the price. You can set it as low as you want it to. You can set it as high if you're the only seller, you can set it as high as you want to. Amazon, market share, they can set up prices high. That's why everyone's getting a little bit on Amazon's nerves, but no one really does anything about it. That's a whole other issue. But you can set, if you have a selling monopoly, you can set prices as high as you need. If you have a buying monopoly, and that means you're the only buyer, you can set prices as low as you need to buy things out from people. So, by the government not really doing anything about it, they're like, oh well, let them do whatever they need to. Well, we have some money, these businesses support us, you guys have fun. And that caused really bad problems for rural farmers. And then, guess what happened in the 1920s? Late 1920s. World War II just ended. America was doing on a really high note in the 1920s. Roaring 20s, great architectural developments. awesome parties in New York City and whatnot. If you've seen Great Gatsby, you know what I'm talking about. But guess who was not invited to those parties? Farmers. And then guess what happened right after the Roaring Twenties? Great Depression. So, America was doing really, really well, and then Great Depression hits everyone, bam, everyone dies. So, I mean, rich people got significantly less affected, but they still got affected. I'm not saying rich people did not get affected. Rich people still got really affected. Businesses drowned because if people aren't able to pay loans, banks aren't able to collect their money back. If banks aren't able to collect money back, they can't keep the businesses who put money in the banks can't have any money. So businesses are gonna drown. Banks are gonna drown. Businesses are gonna drown. Everyone drowns. And what happened was farmers they were unable to pay the money back, and it's kind of serious because they had to buy the product. They were basically living on subsistence farming, and then now manufacturing was at a really high point, and then it just dropped. Now farmers, workers, now these people had loans. Now who's gonna pay the loans? They can't pay it. They don't have any money. Banks can't collect their money. They don't have any money either. Well, who puts money in the banks? Businesses. Well, now they don't have money. Well, what's going to happen to the business? They're going to drown. But who's going to buy the product then? How are we going to generate money? So it's called the Great Depression for a reason. Everyone got depressed. Well, so what I'm saying is, if we just support one area of people, in laissez-faire capitalism, you support only the top people. You disregard everyone else. You can go really high with it. Rich people can get massively richer. Middle class can significantly increase. But then you still have a large portion of the population that's being disregarded and continually. And you can go really, really high. But there's going to be a point where you're going to be like, oh. Once you go that high, you're going to drop. You're going to drop really, really badly. So by disregarding an entire section of a population, you can screw everything up. Communism does the exact opposite. Theoretically, it makes sense that everyone's equal, government controls the economy, everyone's A-okay. But it doesn't work either. You only support workers. You only put your power in the worker power. All well and good, but what's going to happen? How do you promote growth? How do you and how do you stop people from corrupting the system? So it didn't work. Russian communism didn't work. Russia before that was largely capitalist. Capitalist-ish. It was more of a feudal thing, but it was the systems of capitalism was pretty embedded into it. But what happened in the U.S. is that everything drowned. Didn't work. They had to create what socialists come up with socialist plans. Social Security came up in this. The New Deal, Franklin Delano Roosevelt made that in the New Deal. That was one of his policies. Support the workers, support farmers, and anyone included. Now what's going on in India? Let's come back to India's point. So, in India, two things that I've been reading about. That MSRP gone. What's happening if MSRP is gone? Let me tell you a story. It's most Indian American kids know this. It's not new news for anyone. In Costco, we go. We buy something. Maybe our parents don't like it. It's Costco. I mean, most of the products are really good, but some things that maybe we don't like. Maybe just don't like. Something happens, and we want to return the clothes. And we will return it no matter what. No matter if the return policy is 30 days, we will return it. And we will get our money back. And I know most Indian kids and Indian American kids can relate and say, yeah, we get kind of embarrassed by it, but it'll happen. No matter what we do, it's gonna happen. We know it. So typically I don't like going into the return line. I don't want to deal with it. I just want to go read my books in Costco. But so we know it's gonna happen. So it's not new news to anyone. So what I'm saying is that we will negotiate a price as low as we need. We will not back down. If you destroy a minimum price, you can go as low as if you're the only buyer. So companies can be like, okay, farmers, we will buy from you, and then we will sell to everyone else. Now the government said, okay, but buy a lowered price, but buy a lowered price, but buy a lowered price, and they're like, the government businesses are like, fun. I can make a good profit out of this. Put prices as low as possible. Put pressure on farmers. Pretty simple. Businesses can do it. They have money. They have power. Why do they care? Put the pressure on farmers. Jack up the prices for everyone else. Sell. Does anyone notice a problem in this? It happened right before the Great Depression. It's happening again. So what's gonna happen? Two things. Either everyone's relatively fine with it for a while, and not much socially happens, but then something big some big event happens and everything crashes down. The whole card tower gets destroyed. But what's happening in India is another scenario, that people are rising up, people are standing up for their rights, that it's a democracy. We are entitled to stand up for our rights. If we don't like something, it is our duty. It's not, no one else is gonna come. So I'm gonna go on a slight tangent here. In Hamilton, and it's an American musical about Alexander Hamilton, there's a song, The Room Where It Happens. And it's it's a story, it's relatively true. People say it's pretty accurate about what happened. So Alexander Hamilton wanted to create the U.S. financial system. A good plan. A relatively good plan. He wanted to create a bank. He wanted to centralize the government to make sure for everyone's prosperity. On the other side, Jefferson didn't like it. It's a democracy. Not everyone's going to agree with their ideals. So they made a deal. The room where it happens. And one statement in it struck me profoundly. That if you don't do anything, you can't say anything. In this story, that Alexander and Aaron Burr was a relatively, he didn't really have ideals that he shared publicly. He had ideals. He liked one side. He didn't like the other. He had ideals, but he didn't share it publicly. He didn't support it in public, and he didn't run for this idea. He became the vice president. He lost to Jefferson in the elections. A whole bunch of stuff happened, but he didn't support his ideals publicly at all times. And he started whining to Hamilton in this play that, why'd you do this? Why did you give them the capital in the Potomac? Why did you make it Washington, D.C.? He's like, I gave them more than I got more than I gave. So he gave them the Washington. He's like, okay, it was a compromise. You guys take this, we get to make the national bank. And Aaron Burr is like, why'd you do it? You can't complain. Then Alexander Hamilton is, you can't complain, boy. You're not even in this. You didn't stand up for your power. You didn't run. You didn't take what was your right. You can't complain. You have nothing to say. And it struck me profoundly. As citizens of a democratic country, it is our duty to either protest, to vote, protest against laws that we do not like, BLM. There's a reason why BLM got so much popularity everywhere. Civil rights need to be adjusted. Systemic racism needs to be gone. Vote for the people. Vote for electors. Vote for governors. Vote for local people that you know and you can trust, or is better than the opponent. Why do you think Biden was elected here? People didn't like how Trump was doing COVID. It didn't work. He caused massive economic and social problems, and everyone was done with it. No one wanted him. And people can complain with the Capitol riot. Is that voter fraud? It didn't happen though. they did many investigations, and each of them were proven wrong. It didn't happen. So he was out because the people voted against him. It was a democracy. It's a democracy. In a democracy, you have the right to protest. The government can't be like in a peaceful protest be like, okay, shoot them with rubber bullets. BLM. Why would the U.S. government shoot them with rubber bullets? People got pissed. Started to create speech around that we need to fix our problem of systemic racism in America. And in India now, farmers are protesting. They're saying that we do not like this law. Please change it. Please make it more even for us. And the government can't be like, oh, no, and also die. The government can't do that. The people are... what happened with BLM was that the way that the government acted caused BLM to grow to cause for more unrest. Which caused more government problems. Now, the BLM was an honest protest. People were protesting peacefully. Why did the government need to shoot them with rubber bullets and make them more pissed? They were protesting against police brutality, and the police were brutalizing them. Do you understand this conundrum? Like, what was that? And what's happening in India is exactly the same. The farmers are protesting for their rights, and up to a certain point, they're gonna get tired. They're gonna get fed up. Like, this cannot keep happening. You cannot keep disenfranchising us, or you cannot promise us one thing and give us exactly the other. And moreover, leaders cannot lie. I mean, they should not lie. Cannot is a very strong word. Lying is sometimes okay, and it's very gray, but like on important issues, leaders should not lie. In America, leaders were lying. They were lying that there was voter fraud. That caused a large number of the Republican people in the Republican Party to think that the election was fraudulent, when it clearly was not. Like, that led to an insurrection, and now the leaders are like, we didn't have anything to do with it. We're gonna be like, you guys attacked us? Okay. We're not gonna punish you for it. Peace out. But that should not happen. Leaders should be held accountable for their lies. You can't say one thing and then do the exact opposite. You can't, and when there's an evident truth in something, you can't say the exact opposite. When COVID started, Trump was saying COVID did not exist. What kind of logic is this? People are dying. What do you mean it doesn't exist? Are they just dying for no reason? Are they just like falling dead? Like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? When there's clearly something going on, and people are saying something is going on, you can't say the exact opposite. When something is not going on, when the voter fraud is not happening, you can't say it is happening just because you think it's happening. That's not how it works. When you say that we will give farmers the rights and the protections they deserve, you can't be like, you know what, businesses, we won't do that, we'll help you instead. You good with that? You can't do that. That doesn't work that way. You're disenfranchising a number of people. You're both disenfranchising a number of people. You're misinforming a number of people, a larger number of people. You're causing massive problems. And eventually, it's all gonna fall down. A society isn't indestructible. It will topple at one point in time. The more you hit, it's like a glass castle. You can hit it, it's gonna crack a little, it's gonna crack, and then it's gonna shatter. Do we want to get to a point where when it shatters? I don't want to. thankfully, I don't live in India. I I may not know all the problems, what's going on in India, but I don't live in India, so I can't say that. I'm thankful that I live in America where it's relatively safer. I will say relatively with big bolded and quotated marks. Relatively is very emphasized. But I am thankful that I live in America, that these problems don't affect me as much. But they piss me off as well. They piss the heck out of me. Like, when been through this, we've gone through this problem. Why do we want to keep on going through it? It doesn't make sense. We learned in AP US history, in AP World history, we learned inflation is not a good thing. Inflation is bad, very bad. Why do we want to keep on going towards it? Sure, momentarily, for short-term gain. Maybe that's what most politicians are thinking. Most people are thinking, short-term gain. But you have to think a little bit longer. Why do you learn history then? What's the point in learning history? If we want to keep on repeating the mistakes of the past, what's the point in learning history? I genuinely don't understand why. In U.S. history, we learned that we need to learn from the past, but clearly it's not working. We keep on going through the same goddamn thing again. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm getting more pissed as I'm speaking this, and I'm not even. I don't know, dude. Like, I'm just saying is that we've been through this scenario with the Great Depression. We've been through it with when independence, what's it called? When the housing crisis of 2008 here, we've been through this all over the world. India went through this before. Why do we need to keep on repeating this mistake? What need do we have? Like, is this like some type of like enjoyment from pain? Like, do we enjoy getting pain? See, businesses and politicians may think, okay, we're going well for right now, but it's all gonna crumble. It's all gonna shatter and explode. You can't just you need to adapt. You need to listen to the people. It's a democracy. It's not a dictator. It's not an oligarchy. It's not a dictatorship. It's not. India is not a dictatorship. It's one of the greatest things about India. It turned into a democracy. It follows a democratic ideal. Now, okay, I'm gonna end this with two things. Please, don't disregard the feelings of the many. And what's happening here in terms of protest against voter fraud, a very large majority of people know that isn't true. They know that a good number of politicians are lying to people. They know a good number of people in media is lying to people, and people are trying to explain to the people in the Capitol riots, the insurrection, that this is factually inaccurate. That there is no voter fraud is happening. Trump can't go on saying that voter fraud is happening, but he can't do that mala. He can't just keep on doing that. You're disenfranchising a majority of people who voted legally, who voted for Biden, who said Biden got the largest number of votes in U.S. history. Are you saying that what was the number? 800 million? One sec. The number of people who voted for Biden did not vote for him. He won the popular vote by a very large margin. He won the electoral college vote by a very large vote. And the electoral college is Trump lost the popular vote in 2016, and he won the electoral college vote by very little, and he became president. Biden won the popular vote by a very large margin. He won the electoral college vote for a very large margin. And these people are saying, it didn't happen. It did not happen. This didn't exist. We live in our own little alternate universe that this fact does not exist. what's happening in India is kind of the opposite. Politicians, business leaders, even the middle class to some extent. In India, it's split into two worlds: the middle class and above, and the lower middle class and below. Middle class and above, for everyone, it's like happy. Everyone's living luxuriously. Everyone's living happily. No one really has a care in the world. Everyone's happy. Business is booming. India's getting really industrialized. Large number of apparently India has one of the largest rate of new millionaires, billionaires, which is good to a certain degree, but an entire other truth is being shrouded, that farmers and workers in the lower middle class are struggling. In both countries, they're doing opposite things. One country is blocking the truth and causing massive political problems. The other country is blocking a truth and causing massive social, economic, and political problems. And they're both causing problems. You can't just block the truth and say it doesn't exist. That's not how the world works. Truth is truth. I'll admit, truth is not objective. There is no such thing as the objective truth. We all have a perspective. I'm going to say this Jainism thing, and I actually like the idea. We learn something called anekantva. Like, we all have a perspective on something, and we all must respect it. Like, I have a perspective of what's going to happen, and my dad may have a different perspective. My mom may have it. My cousins may have a different perspective. My friend, Michael, my friend who I was talking about, who got me into this whole discussion, may have a different perspective on this. We all each have an individual perspective, and that's our individual truth. But you can't say that one group's truth is true and the other group's truth isn't. But you can't also just live in your own fantasy world and say and be like nothing's going on. So I will say two things. Please, and if you guys don't agree with me, please talk. Like, I will send. I think my dad's gonna post this. I guess I don't know, but like send a message. Be like, I don't agree with you. Please be respectful about it. I am still a junior, and I do feel offended if I do. But like, be respectful about it. It's your opinion. It's a democracy. I will openly accept it. If it's something wrong, I will tell you that. I will say that if you say something that's inaccurate or factually incorrect, or doesn't portray what's going on to its fullest extent, I will tell you that this is wrong. Please look at this in this resource and okay. But if it's not, like, if you don't. If you do agree with me, I don't really care if you do. If you don't agree with me, please do tell me and express your opinion. It's a democracy, and I would reasonably like that. I know this video is extremely polar. It's a lot of topics from here to India and a whole bunch of more. But what I'm saying is that if you don't agree with me on a certain issue, please do tell me. Don't scream at me. Just tell me that, Arham, I don't agree with you on this point. And tell me explain your reasoning and whatnot. But justify what you mean. But don't just say you don't agree with me because this dude says so. Give me a resource where you got your information from, so I can read it. I can educate myself. I can see if the resource is credible or not. You can't just pull up something on WhatsApp and be fact proven. You can't pull something up on Facebook and be because QAnon says so and so happened. We live in you can't just say that. Give me a factually accurate resource. Give me, say, expert saying something, or credible, reputable publication, New York Times, BBC, I don't know. I don't really know much about Indian publications because I don't really read that much Indian publication. But like, at least American publications, if you find some credible one, please do send me. I'll take the time to look at it. I think, but I mean I'll try to look at it at least. But this is taking. So I just kind of turned into a rant. I'm sorry, but what I'm gonna say is like just it's a democracy. I will respect what you're gonna say. If it's factually inaccurate, I will tell you that this is wrong. I won't come after you for it. I'm not gonna be like, "Are you an idiot?" I'm not gonna say that. That's not how I like to do things. I'm gonna tell you that like, I'll explain to you. I'll try to explain to you nicely that this is not like correct. Please look at this article. Please look at this report. Please look at this like. If it's something about the U.S. Voter fraud, I'll show you a bunch of like all the court cases that Trump lost and whatnot. But like, just respectfully tell me where I'm wrong, and I'll respect if I like find out that I am wrong, I will say I am wrong on this fact. Please do and like correct me on it. I'll like to educate myself on stuff. But like if I see that you may not have a fully accurate statement, then I'll say that please do read this. Here's a better understanding. So like because as a society we need to stay educated on stuff. We can't just stay ignorant. Although like we learned the phrase ignorance is bliss and knowledge is power, ignorance is bliss, and that's not true. That is just wrong. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is just like we live in a world where we're all connected. We get news ASAP. We get everything ASAP. I mean, there are times when you might want to disconnect. I'm not saying that's wrong. I did it myself for the past 2 weeks. But like you can't just like be like that's wrong because I say so. And not take the time to look. You can't be like global warming doesn't exist and be like not have look at the hundreds of examples where it does, everyone is saying it does. You can't be like the earth is flat when we have evidence that earth is not flat. You can't be like vaccine causes autism and when scientists have proven that it does not cause autism. That's not how it works. I'm saying that what was I saying? I genuinely have no idea. So I'm sorry. Give me a sec. So yeah. When ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is just like I don't know. It's just dumb. Like I genuinely have no words for it. Knowledge isn't power at all times. It's in a democratic society, it is power. In a democratic society, knowledge is power. The more knowledgeable you are, the more power you'll have. The more effective you'll be. In a democracy, that's what it is. You can't just be like not knowledgeable about certain issues and be like nothing. Like you can't do that. Like if you want some change to happen, you have to be at least somewhat knowledgeable about it. If you don't agree with what's happening in India, find out why you don't agree. Figure out what's your reasoning behind it. Figure out what's your justification. What's your evidence that what the farmers are doing is wrong. If you believe it, that's all. I would like to see the evidence. I will convince me that I'm wrong is my challenge. If you want to convince me I'm wrong, please do it so with credible evidence. Don't just pull up some politician's word and be like, that's evidence. Have fun with your day. No, that's not how it will work. Give me some credible evidence that multiple sources and stuff. Don't pull up Wikipedia. Wikipedia is actually pretty reliable most times. But don't pull up WhatsApp and be like, ha, fight me. That's not gonna work. It's just not credible. It's not reliable. Experts support, but so if you don't agree with me, show me some credible research. I'll give you the challenge that if you don't agree with me, please do tell me why you don't agree with me, and do tell me that give me some credible resources as well. I don't know why I'm saying this a lot, but yeah. So as a citizen of the world, I like to educate myself on these matters. I like to read the news. I especially was reading about what's happening in Yemen, but that's a whole other issue that I will not get into, because if I do get into that, that's going to take a whole other hour. It's 9:03, but like, yeah. So I don't want to get into the Yemen issue, but like, as a child in the U.S., I have the good fortune of being able to keep myself educated on these matters. Like I have the good fortune of having an iPhone, and being able to look at the news. I mean, not everyone in India has that. We have to that's why the education system is massively important. As a P student, we've learned about the intricacies of history, how things aren't as cut and dry as it seemed to be. The Gilded Age, although it was economically beneficial and increased the size of the middle class, it was massively detrimental for a large portion of society. It's not as cut and dry that we like. And there are issues that I would love to talk about, like the other Hindu nationalist topics, I don't know, but like Mughals and whatnot, like some history topic. I don't know, if you want to talk to me about that, please let me know. I would love to talk to you about it, but like, I don't know, just like, history is not as cut and dry as it would seem, and like, especially Indian history is, like, I've gotten to know this, it's a lot more complex than it would seem, and especially in terms of, because India has a very unique place in the world, especially like geographically speaking as well, that it's in the center of like three very large cultures, like Middle Eastern culture, Chinese culture, and Indian culture as a whole. So, and like India has been influenced by massive powers all over the world, and by like it has influenced other powers itself. So its history is not always as cut and dry, and I would like to say that. And even his present, and same thing with America. But the more the more complexities we understand, the better we are able to put the pieces together and solve the current problem. We can't look at history as a cut and dry topic, and that's a big problem with, I think, what I spoke, that why do we learn history? We need to learn history because we need to understand complexity. Why do we need to understand complexity? Because we need to understand the complexity of current issues and connect it to the past issues, so we can solve the current issues and not deal with the past issues again. Okay, I'm gonna get pissed again if we start talking about it, but okay, that's good. Okay.
Thank you.